Hi guys, welcome to my very first YouTube video. I never thought I would do one and do something very personal to me, but I thought that if I would do one, it would help me reflect on life, and hopefully it can also teach you one or two things. And I'm glad that you are listening to this. Well, let's just start off right away. I have some footage, of course, of Tsushima in the background because this game is very beautiful and the cinematography is outstanding. Of the chit chat, let's just start straight away with the video. Relationships aren't easy. I learned this in a hard way. Nearly 2 months ago, I broke up with my girlfriend, and the breakup itself wasn't very clean. It left me without closure. I've been basically blindsided by my ex, which leads me to the main topic of this video, being blindsided. I don't think it's a topic discussed a lot, and I only recently learned about this. Obviously, there's cheating too, and both are worse in their very own way. Some consider cheating worse than blindsiding, and that's a valid reason to have, because everyone has their own unique experience, and someone who experienced both, cheated and blindsided, I think I am qualified enough, quote unquote qualified, to talk about it. I think both blindsiding and cheating are very similar but yet distant, because both are about betrayal. The first thing that comes up into your mind when you think about cheating is betrayal, because it's one of the most painful emotions to feel when you are basically being cheated on, because you put trust in this person and they shattered it completely. And I think blindsiding is kind of the same. Blindsiding. So first of all, what is blindsiding? Basically, blindsiding is when you completely cut off your partner and leave them completely alone with the emotional fallout. At first, that may not sound like worse than cheating, but I feel like the long-term ramification that comes with blindsiding is worse, in my opinion, because with cheating, you have a clear narrative to structure your healing process, and even may antagonize the other person, which can help you process healing or just being in denial. But with blindsiding, it's kind of different. And this is essentially the key difference between blindsiding and cheating, because in the short term, cheating is the worst, most painful thing you can experience, but in the long term prospect, it makes you stronger. And with blindsiding, it's maybe the opposite for some, because in the short term, you may not feel like anything, but once the pain hits after some certain absence, then it's one of the worst things you can imagine. Like with blindsiding, you don't really have any clear narrative to work around. You don't even get a reason why things happened they did, and you can't really heal from it because the other person left you without the reasons why they did what they did. They may give you a reason, but it's very subtle and open-ended. which makes it even worse because if you're someone that likes to think about what is, it's one of the most painful ways to deal with it because you are just going to nag about it for quite a long time and may even find it difficult to concentrate on other things in life. There's no one you can antagonize. Essentially, you are left alone. It takes two people to build a relationship. It also takes two people to constructively end a relationship. And blindsiding shows that in the end, one person is left without the chance to participate in that ending process. And that's why it's so crucial to understand your own part in the dynamic, but also to recognize when the other person denied you that shared closure. And it makes the healing process very hard. So I will give you my experience of blindsiding. So what happened? Well, me and my girlfriend were dating for about 3 months, which doesn't seem a lot for a relationship, and it isn't obviously compared to other people's relationship, like a year, etc., etc. But we were both invested, and towards the end of April, we decided to do a trip to a different city in Europe. And well, let's just say it wasn't really well planned. And when we were on the trip, I was overwhelmed with the things we should do and what she wants to do because I didn't know. And this made me um, feel emotionally less out of touch. Like I was holding back, and she noticed that, and she asked me if everything was alright, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to worry her. Well, after the trip, we were going home. We were on a bus, like a um, night bus, like those long distance ones you see, and we were driving back for 12 hours. Well, during that, she was sitting away from me, and I was sitting alone, and I was kind of confused, like what happened. And I indirectly asked her why she didn't want to sit with me, but she said she had to study, and which I totally understand. And those 12 hours back, I felt just very alone, and I didn't say anything either until after it, after we both went home. I then started to retreat back into my room for some time because I just felt very hurt at that moment, very over emotionally neglected. Well, then I started to post stories where I just, like I had this before and I just started to post some kind of private stories only for her to see that I wasn't doing well. And obviously, it wasn't the right thing to do. I should have directly addressed that with her and not actually just um, go around and show my sadness everywhere. But for me at the time, I was just emotionally neglected and I was just thinking with my emotions back then. And she tried to actually contact me, and I was just so neglected that I was just feeling overwhelmed. So I needed some time for myself for a day. And I think during this process, I also really hurt her, and which I feel very bad about it. Obviously, I'm not trying to victimize myself or say that I'm in the right because this is not what's all about. And if I would do that, it would only delay my healing process and make me in denial, which is never the right way to do. Well, after it, here are some screenshots about the breakup itself. Obviously, I didn't include her name because I want to protect her privacy. Basically, she was then going to a karaoke bar, but I thought it was a nightclub. She was there for till 5 a.m. and obviously I was kind of mad because she didn't tell me beforehand and I was left guessing. So I messaged her when she's gonna go home and she just reacted with an emoji, and then I started to like throw out accusations and tell her that I was feeling pretty bad, which she then obviously replied the morning after and offered me offered me to talk about it, which I ghosted her the following day then. Not because out of ill intentions, because I just had to process everything what happened so far this week. So next, she started to call me on the evening, and then I dropped my vulnerability to her. Like I started to open myself and explain why and what happened. And obviously, at that very moment, I felt very insecure because this is the moment where we hit our first low point in our relationship. And it's my very first time opening up myself to someone. Later on, it took some time for her to reply, and after it, she decided to end things, which she has every right to do. But I feel like I've been emotionally ambushed, and I was shocked at first, and then I started um, spamming if we can talk, like crying, sobbing notes, like the classic ones. And then she decided to block me everywhere. It was only on WhatsApp, but she still decided to block me on everywhere, and I wasn't able to talk about it before or have any closure at least. And I've been just left alone with this emotional fallout. Also stated that she was feeling like that for a long time, and I didn't know really how bad it was. I didn't even notice it, which makes me feel so stupid in hindsight, with hindsight now. But I just wish we were able to talk about it first before we decided to end things, because I wasn't given any chance to like give my view or maybe try to fix things. And if it was still to come to a breakup, I was able to walk out with closure at least. And I think this is the most devastating part. Obviously, she didn't, I don't think she tried to be malicious. I think she just tried to protect herself, which I totally understand. And she had every right to end a relationship if she wasn't happy in it. She's a good person, don't get me wrong. She's diligent, intelligent, hardworking, and these are the values that I in love with, and many more. Before she sent the message, she requested the other half of the Airbnb money, which I gave her because I didn't want to cause any more drama. It is financially fair, but on an emotional level, I just felt so devastated. This is where we are. Obviously, how does someone deal with something like that? And it took me some days to actually just realize what really happened because this flight and fight instinct, it was it was there for me as well. How do you recover from such a situation where you emotionally were vulnerable to someone and they decide to end the relationship? How do you deal with a blindsiding like that? And it took me some days to think about it. Obviously, the morning after the breakup, I came back to my senses, my and I wrote a final goodbye message, an email address. Here you can see it. Basically, I accepted it, but I was still sad, but I didn't back up to come back like at the very beginning when I was sobbing. Um, yeah. Also, she was a lot in my place, so I returned all of the things she gave me, even the birthday presents she included, and I sent it back to her per post. And yeah, in some way, there was kind of my closure. You can see there my letter, what I wrote, and my email, and there's some clip of me packing the things in. And it is some closure, but it isn't really fully closure because there wasn't any reply, but I didn't really expect anything back after everything. So, how do you recover from this? Let me say this straight. The healing process in this case isn't gradual. You may think that you are the worst person on earth one day, but the next day you may see yourself, you can maybe recover from this. And this is the key part. You have to let the pain, the thoughts go through you. Only then you start to reflect on things and you might notice one or two mistakes you did. This is why it's so important that you have to reflect on these emotions. It's what makes you you. For example, I do feel a lot better now knowing that the mistakes I did, and this is where I can start become a better person by addressing them. And for example, in the message you might have read or not, I felt very uncomfortable opening up to people, and this can destroy relationships. So, to address this, I started to open myself a bit more to the outside world, to my friends, and it makes me feel a lot better knowing that I have people that can support me. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that make a list of yourselves, of your mistakes during this relationship. For example, it wasn't only about me being a closed off person, but also someone who isn't really good in communicating things. So when you write a list, you can actually start working on these issues. Not issues, but issues sounds kind of harsh, but more like flaws you may want to improve on. And then you feel a lot better. It is not time that will heal you, but by improving yourself, work on yourself. And this ties me to the next point. All the sad energy you have mustered, it can be used to improve your life in general. For example, you wanted to go to the gym, you That's a classic one, I know, but now you can. There's no excuse. It doesn't have to be gym. It can be any other activities like cooking, speaking a language, or just starting a new hobby. It can make things a lot easier for you in the long term to heal. It takes two people for a relationship, and also it takes two people to end a relationship. It's no different. So don't try to self-blame too much on you. Sometimes in a relationship there are different needs, and I guess both our needs weren't met. For example, my emotional needs and hers, her other needs. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, and that's okay. And came I came to accept it. And this leads me to the next point. There are other great people out there you can meet. Am I ready for a next relationship? Probably not, but I do know that I will try again in the future. And also, an end of a relationship is not always a failure, but also a learning path, because you now know what's your boundaries and what you seek in the relationship. And one pro tip: never go back to the person that has untreated you, that didn't treat you fairly. Obviously, for me, now I know what I want in a relationship. I want someone that wants to fight with me, to strive to become a better part of ourselves and to the people we love. Someone that doesn't easily run away with the first conflict. When listening to this again, it sounds harsh. I just want to say this: I did enjoy my time with her. She taught me a valuable lesson which I will never forget. But for my next relationship, it will be someone who sees me for who I am and where I can show my imperfections and still be accepted. So, yeah, that is it. I think it will be my last video for quite a long time. Maybe if things change, or if this video is going to blow up, but I don't think so, realistically speaking. There's no reason for it. So I thank you for taking my time with my video, and if you gone something similar to this, you will become a better person. You aren't a bad person by any means. So kudos to all of those that are staying strong. Right, anyways, peace. And maybe one day I'll look back and realize this heartbreak was the start of something better. Not because she left, but because I found myself again.
Yo, what's up? We're on top of Jutleberg in Zurich. Yeah, and yeah, just over Zurich City. Wow, that's quite a sight.
You can see the airport.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can see the airport. It's just it's freaking cold as heck.
We're freezing our ass off, bro. It's
Oh.
so cold.
But man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah.